Watching a story unfold, narrative layers peeling away to reveal underneath them even more story. Well, when it's done right, it's a goddamn trance, man. And I know I'm not alone in this almost mystical attraction to film. Ever since the inception of the medium, people have loved to watch them. And despite the change in faces of corporate influence, one thing seems to always remain the same.
You can't tell people what they want. It has to be what you want.
Well, I want to go to the movies.
I think the reason I hate the Oscars is because I love the movies. The concept of award shows for creative expression is complete crap, and ironically misses the point of that which it awards. Look, I understand that there are great movies, and maybe not so great movies, and everything in between movies, but there isn't a best movie, or second best movie, or worst movie. By the way, what are you doing handing out an award for the worst of something? Oh. You see, after a lot of thinking, I finally realized that movies aren't like swimming. No, listen, yeah, movies aren't like swimming competitions where value and rank is meant, in fact designed, to be precisely determined to the 10th of a difference. Nope, movies aren't that kind of thing. They're an entirely different kind of thing. Watching a movie is more like taking a vacation. Just give me a second. If you asked thousands of travelers what their all-time favorite vacation was, even if everyone had only been to the same 5 places, you'd get at least 5 different answers. But more interestingly, for the people who picked the same place, you'd get hundreds of different reasons why. Where were they in their life before they boarded the plane? Were they happy, or were they sad and looking to escape? Who'd they take with them? Their kids, their high school buddies, or were they riding solo? Did they have an unexpected and unplanned epic night? Did they fall in love? Just a few details, but details inextricably tied to that individual. Because the details matter. They're what the curious wide-eyed traveler brings to his impermanent new home, and in turn mold what they alone can take away, their experience. So, what's the best place to travel? It depends, and that's not a cop-out, it's the real answer, I think. So here's the point. Like travel, I think one of, and maybe the most important function of art, is to prompt experience. And experience is that which prompts it and that which you uniquely bring to the table. So art isn't meant to be felt uniformly by an audience. No, it's best felt in wonderfully personal ways, depending on who you are on that day, during that hour even. And that quality of unique to you experience is so important, because only when rooted in something personal, often deeply so, does any experience, including the artistic, really speak to you. It's what makes us drawn to different art despite sometimes having similar backgrounds. It's why on a particularly gloomy day you can find a special kind of relief in that song, you know the one, that knows exactly how to hit you where it hurts. It's why it's so important our creative expression house subversive ideas for their own safekeeping, if nothing else, because one day in a different time and place, people may need to be inspired by them for reasons we can't imagine in our time and place. And it's when I'm sitting in a theater with 2 friends who can't find anything worth watching in The Revenant, while I'm in awe of a 2.5-hour-long poem penned by the sounds and patter of nature, in a mental space I forgot I even had. In this sense, the true goodness of art lies not in the parts we all agree on, but in the differences we find for ourselves. And that's why art is so damn important, because when it reaches out and grabs you, it has the power to enlighten, humor, soothe, and haunt you in ways only you can be enlightened, humored, soothed, and haunted. Art that works is art that's personal. Soul medication available for all to use, yet at the same time tailor-made for yours. that's what makes it stick. How do you measure the goodness of something like that? A goodness that relies on all the different details that belong to and are carried by different people as they live through the different moments of their different lives. You can't and you shouldn't. There is no best picture, only best pictures. But in allowing an elite class to legitimize their standards of good art for the rest of us, we give this group the power to shape the kinds of work the rest of us get to experience. In doing so, we risk turning our art from soul medication for the many into soul medication for the few. But in my opinion, there's an even sadder consequence. When I was around 13, what was once pure, unfiltered intimacy between a set of moving pictures, the story they conveyed, and my mind was now accompanied by a different filter. One influenced by the eyes of the critic who could precisely discern good art from bad art, who looked for that kind of thing. But in doing so, I lost out on some awesome movie experiences, movies I couldn't quite get into, you know? But that was because I wasn't really watching. I was relying on the eyes of the conventional critic, or the eyes I thought this person had, instead of my own. Of course, there is value in art criticism, but I think sometimes our culture deems that perspective too important, and to be honest, bashes our heads in with it. Case in point, the need to distinguish between a set of movies every year that we can all agree are very good and probably very important to different people for different reasons. Like, what's the point? Why? Oh, right. In doing so, we see with a set of eyes other than our own, and that's tragic, because if it's not us who's really watching, it's not our details becoming entwined with the moving pictures to create an experience that sticks. Because yeah, to make good art, the artist has to be vulnerable to you, but to experience good art, you have to be vulnerable to the artist, man. No crutches, no preconceived notions of good and bad, just you, pure experience, and the moment it hits.